knowledge is power.
Hey, it's Kat, and I'm back because what once was will be again. I got my tiki cap on so we can use history, mythology, and astrology to divine the mysteries of the Game of Thrones. So you might have noticed that all these people in the north are going around saying ominously, winter is coming. And we take it as an ominous event. And of course, all the people in the south of Westeros is like, man, I wish they'd just shut up about that. And we know that we're associating it with the others because there is this story about how 8,000 years ago or so, there was this very long night and a very long winter in which the others came down out of the north and almost defeated man, but a hero came and he forged a sword. It took him 3 times to do it. And the first 2 times he tried to temper it, the sword continued to break, but on the 3rd try, he put it in the heart of the pure love heart of his wife, Nisa. And when he withdrew it, it was imbued with her fiery spirit, making it a fire sword, and it made it red with her blood. And then he used it to drive the others back, and the long night and the long winter. Then he disappeared. So now we have everybody going on this holy grail search for what sword it is. And a lot of people have determined that this sword must be the sword Dawn. And Dawn is the sword owned by the House Dane, who is one of the many houses in Westeros, and that it's wielded by the Sword of the Morning, who's only the most worthy to be able to wield it. So we're pretty sure that there's this sword. So I'm not disagreeing that there's a sword named Dawn, but if you caught my first video, I said that Lightbringer was actually a woman. That there might be a sword, but Lightbringer is in fact a woman. I suggest that you go catch my long version of this so you get the facts behind how I determine that Lightbringer is a woman. But as a short recap, we see a 7-pointed star rising above the throne in the throne room. The 7-pointed star is the sign of the goddess. It's been the sign of the goddess throughout eons of man's existence. It could be observed as a sign of the goddess from Inanna to Ishtar to Astaroth to Astarte, Isis, and even Venus in the Greek and Roman pantheon. We even have this association as the star, 7-pointed star, with Mary, mother of Jesus, because the 7-pointed star is the representation of the star Venus in the sky. So Mary, mother of God, is in fact the queen of the heavens. Venus, the star, is the queen of the heavens. And this star Venus, the 7-pointed star represented by the goddess, is referred to as the Lightbringer. In Latin, that's Lucifer. And it's the Lightbringer because Venus has 2 aspects, and in both aspects she brings the light. In one aspect, as the morning star, she rises before the sun. And so she, the Venus star, is said to be bringing the light. As her second aspect, as the evening star, she's the first star that rises in the night sky, and as she comes along, so does the moon being the light in the night. And again, so Venus is the light bringer in the night. So there you have it. The 7-pointed star is a representation or the sign of the goddess, and it is associated with the star Venus, and Venus, the star in the night sky, in both aspects, as the morning star and the evening star, brings the light. All right, you got it? Good. So let's talk about what the hell does that got to do with the winter is coming. Well, in my video regarding Lightbringer as the star Venus, being the morning star that rises before the sun, thus being the Lightbringer, I might have neglected to mention that that's only visible to the naked eye to those people in the northern latitudes, you know, those dudes who are always talking about winter coming, during the fall and winter months. So what about Daenerys being Venus? Well, we can confirm this because Daenerys has been tracking the movements of Venus in the night sky, and events that she has experienced while she's been in Essos reflect astrological events in Venus's pattern. So when we first see Daenerys, we see her in Braavos, and it seems like it's early summer. That's when she meets Khal Drogo. Now Venus in May, so the beginning of summer, is in conjunction with the sun. In other words, you can see Venus as a little ball right in front of the sun. And then Venus disappears for about 2.5 months behind the sun. Daenerys has helpfully confirmed to us that Khal Drogo is in fact her son. Then, when Venus leaves her conjunction with the sun, she appears to the naked eye in the night sky as the evening star. And the evening star rises before the moon, thus bringing the light in the in the night. And this happens about July, or the longest, hottest parts of summer. Khal Drogo helpfully referred to Daenerys as his moon and stars. Then he died, which reflects Venus leaving her conjunction with the sun. Daenerys later gets a prophecy telling her that before she can go west, she must go east. And in fact, this is the movement of Venus through the night sky during the summer months. Venus moves east until she hits her penultimate moment. And we know that we have only seen Daenerys in daytime with the sun, and it's hot, and the desert, and it's dry in some respects. And we don't really see her in a night scene until she hits Khaleesi Dome. That's her penultimate movement east. After Khaleesi Dome, and she burns it down and kills the other cows, she gathers up the Dothraki and she begins to move west. And that's, in fact, Venus's movement in the night sky. Now, at her most western movement, the last time she's seen as the evening star in the sky is right before her occultation with the moon. So Venus has a lunar occultation, or conjunction with the moon. So we can expect, if Mr. Martin is in fact using Venus's movements and astrological events to inform the movements of Daenerys down in Essos, that when she gets back to Meereen or that area around there, that she's going to have a relationship with a female, because the moon is also a symbol for the goddess. So Venus, the goddess, and the moon, the goddess, is going to get together. Now, what kind of relationship is this going to be? Now, I expect that it's going to be with Yara. And Yara has helpfully presented a scene where she's in the tavern and she's hooking up with some local women. So she's obviously not adverse to an alternative relationship. And I think this might mean that Yara and Daenerys have more than a handshake relationship over some ships. Of course, we know that Euron is coming. And if you saw my video, link below, Euron is the east wind. And when he arrives, heralding also that the fall is coming, he's an ill-omened wind. And basically he screws stuff up. So no, Daenerys is not going to get to Westeros with the Dothraki. But if she continues to follow her pattern of Venus in the night sky after the occultation with the moon, she then appears around September as the morning star. This is when she's most visible to the naked eye, rising before the sun, again becoming the Lightbringer. Now, other things that happens in this aspect is Venus continues to travel west during the fall and winter months at her highest zenith in the sky, where she appears about 5 hours before the sun. It's about November, mid to late November. This is, we know, is about the time that snow starts falling, and in fact that winter is here. And the nights start becoming longer and darker and, full of terror. Venus continues to move west until she hits her penultimate moment, where she is at her lowest aspect in the sky and only appears about 30 minutes before the sun. And this happens in the last week of December or early January, when the winter is the longest, darkest, and coldest. So winter is coming, and Venus the Lightbringer is coming with it. And it's also, you can also associate this with the aspect of the other, which I think we've all figured out that they might be the dead. They are dead. The dead are risen with the others. They're White Walkers. The night is long and full of terror. Well, real man actually experienced this as a period of death as well. So Venus was associated with death and with rebirth during this period. Associated with death is because man had little shelter, little food, there was lots of disease, and he died a lot during this long dark period. So man also associated Venus with rebirth during this longest, darkest period of time. Because, of course, it was dark for a long period of time. He had no crops growing. He didn't have very much to do taking care of his animals. He wasn't going out and making war. Those were reserved for the spring and summer months. And, you know, the night was dark and full of terror, so he stayed indoors a lot. And since he didn't have any television or other things to entertain him too much, he went to bed early and often not alone. So man could observe a local phenomenon that about 9 months after the longest, darkest part of winter, there was a lot of babies being born. So what can we expect there? So if Daenerys is Venus, the Lightbringer, following Venus's path in the night sky, then that means when she hooks up with Jon, which I am confirming that right now, that yeah, she's going to have a baby. We should also be reminded that Venus, in her westerly movement as the morning star, you know, the Lightbringer, as she leaves the occultation with the moon, she eventually comes into alignment with Mars and Jupiter. Mars being the planet that's associated with the god Mars, who's the god of war. And we know that that's actually coming. So let's reconfirm that Venus is Daenerys and Venus is the Lightbringer. So Venus is the star in the sky. It's associated with the goddess aspect. The symbol for the goddess aspect is a 7-pointed star in a circle, which we see rising above the throne of swords in the throne room. And Daenerys has been in conjunction with the sun. That's Khal Drogo. She was his moon and stars. She was the evening star that rises before the moon. Then she moved east, hit her penultimate moment, Khaleesi Dome, comes back west. She's going to have a relationship with a female in her occultation with the moon before she heads west into Westeros. Now, our next segment, I'm going to talk about the mythology that's associated with the movement of these stars, and in fact, death and renewal, and who these gods and goddesses are, and who in fact Jon and Daenerys are playing. So thank you very much. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button or comment in the comment section. I'll talk to you later.
Knowledge.